School Board for Tuesday, February 20th, 2018. On behalf of the members of the school board and the superintendent, I welcome each of you present and watching. Our quorum is present to transact the business of the school division. We will begin tonight's meeting with the invocation and pledge to the flag. Here to do the honors are two students from Lee Hall Elementary Schools, Tranisha Davis and Samantha Lee. First, Tranisha will come forward to deliver the invocation. She will be followed by Samantha. So, Tranisha, would you come forward and tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Good evening. My name is Tranisha Davis. I'm a student at Lee Hall Elementary. Today, I would like to share a poem with you. The title is Your Best. If you always try your best, then you'll never have to wonder about what you could have done if you summoned all your thunder. And if your best was not as good as you hoped it would be, you could still say, I gave today all that I had in me.
Tranisha, that was wonderful. Samantha, could you please come forward and tell us a little bit about yourself before we do the pledge to the flag?
I'm Samantha Lee, and I am from Lee Hall Elementary, and I'm a fourth grader.
Okay.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you two very much. Wow. Tranisha and Samantha, you two both did a wonderful, excellent job. And I guess we're doing great things up there at Lee Hall Elementary School, huh? Supporting Tranisha and Samantha tonight are their family members and school family. Could you please stand to be recognized? Just want to let you know that the board appreciates the encouragement you have given these two young ladies, and we thank you for bringing them to the meeting this evening. And again, those jobs, you both did a wonderful job, and we're going to give you another round of applause. A job well done. Okay. So thank you for that. Next, I guess we're going to board recognitions.
Absolutely, and we do have some recognitions tonight. Tonight we're going to recognize a Virginia Award winner with the Athletic Administrators Conference, and we're going to recognize a pretty special school board, at least special to me and to you there in the audience. So, Ms. Price, if you would join me.
We're going to come together one more time.
Good evening. It's an honor to present this month's recognitions. The Virginia Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association is a professional organization for school athletic directors. The organization serves to promote high standards of achievement and ethics in athletics, provide professional development, and promote sportsmanship among schools. Each year, members of the organization select one of their own as Athletic Administrator of the Year in each division. The award recognizes athletic directors who've made great contributions to the profession. Newport News Public Schools is home to the 3A, 4A, VIAAA Athletic Administrator of the Year. Please join me in congratulating Dwayne Peters, Athletic Director at Heritage High School. Mr. Peters. Mr. Peters has worked for Newport News Public Schools for more than 28 years and has served in several schools. He served as athletic director at Heritage High School since 2008. In addition to ensuring that the athletic teams and student athletes have all they need, he serves as a mentor to students and staff alike. All of the athletic programs at Heritage run smoothly thanks to Mr. Peters. In addition, he served as the chairman of the Peninsula District Athletic Directors Association, president of the Eastern Virginia Athletic Directors Association, as a board member of the VIAAA, and he's a member of the National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association. Again, we congratulate you on earning this well-deserved honor, and we'd also like to acknowledge the family members present this evening who have come in support of you. Would you please stand to be recognized? We also have other members of the Youth Development and Athletic Team joining us this evening. Thank you. You can stand up and be recognized, please. Mr. Nichols, Ms. Leslie, thank you. Again, Mr. Peters, congratulations.
Thank you.
Tonight, I also have the pleasure of acknowledging the dedicated members of the Newport News School Board. Governor Ralph Northam has proclaimed February 2018 School Board Appreciation Month in Virginia. The observance was first established by the Virginia School Boards Association in 1989 to encourage public recognition of the roles and responsibilities of school board members and to highlight the importance of public education. The proclamation reads, "Whereas the education of Virginia's school-age children is the foundation upon which the economic, social, and intellectual strength of our Commonwealth is built, and whereas locally elected and appointed school board members play an important role in our representative democracy, as the decisions of local school boards directly influence instruction in Virginia's public schools, and whereas the leadership of our school boards affect the development and future of our children and ensures that students are prepared to compete in local, state, national, and global economies. And whereas local school boards devote themselves to providing a high-quality education for all students in the Commonwealth. And whereas school board members work with parents, businesses, educational professionals, and other community members to create and sustain an educational vision for our students. And whereas the Commonwealth of Virginia is proud of our educational system and appreciates the efforts of local school board members to make the Virginia public school system an excellent place in which to educate our youth. And whereas School Board Appreciation Month recognizes school board members for their leadership and support of the public school system from which the entire Commonwealth benefits. Now, therefore, I, Ralph Northam, do hereby recognize February 2018 as School Board Appreciation Month in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and I call this observance to attention of all of our citizens. As constitutional officers of the Commonwealth, Newport News School Board members are responsible for setting educational policies, employing school personnel, providing buildings and equipment, operating a transportation system, and dispersing school funds, among many other duties. Their job is not an easy one, but our school board is committed to serving our community and ensuring that all students are given the opportunity to excel through education. Each school board member has a token of our appreciation at his or her seat in recognition of the commitment and service on behalf of the students, staff, and the citizens of Newport News, the Commonwealth. And also there's another little token there from our acting superintendent as well. Please join me in saluting the members of the Newport News School Board for their dedicated service. Again, we thank you for your service to our community. At this time, do you have anything? Okay. At this time, we will take a break. Did you have something to add? Oh, okay. We have it for you. Well, at this time, I'm going to turn the podium over to our school board chairman, Mr. Gary Hunter.
So, as it is, February is also School Board Appreciation Month. It's also appreciation for our clerk of the school board, Mrs. Hinton. Would you please come forward? Full disclosure, I know she didn't want us to do this, but we are going to give her a certificate of appreciation. This certificate is proudly presented to Kim Hinton for dedicated service to the Newport News School Board, February 20th, 2018. There you go.
We have to do that off agenda, so she doesn't know. The school board will take about a 7-minute break at this time so that our honoree and their families may choose to leave if they desire to do so. During this time, our viewing audience will have an opportunity to view this month's school board spotlight. So we'll stand in recess for about 7 minutes. Thank you.
For many veterans, the mission of serving our country and improving communities never ends. On Martin Luther King Day, veteran volunteers reported for duty at Marshall Early Learning Center to participate in the National Day of Service. The Mission Continues is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that empowers veterans to find purpose through community involvement and inspire future generations to serve. Marshall Early Learning Center is located in the heart of a neighborhood receiving revitalization funds from a HUD Choice Neighborhoods Planning Grant. Because of this need, volunteers with the Hampton Roads 2nd Platoon were deployed to Marshall to assist with several projects. With over 100 volunteers from the Mission Continues and CarMax, along with Marshall staff and parents, the small army worked on constructing a reading loft for the library, building benches and a sandbox for outside, working on the community garden, and assembling a sensory room to foster student achievement. Supplies were provided by the Mission Continues, CarMax, and Starbucks. Marshall Principal Vanessa Keller was amazed at the generosity of so many hardworking and dedicated volunteers, allowing veterans to continue their mission of serving others. Through the Governor's STEM Academy, Heritage High School offers students advanced courses in computer science, programming, and technology. And lead school librarian Melanie Turan is ensuring that all students have access to these important 21st century skills. To reach this goal, Turan applied for funding through Libraries Ready to Code, an initiative of the American Library Association sponsored by Google. Heritage was one of 28 libraries in the nation to receive a $25,000 grant to start a Ready to Code project, specifically for moderately intellectually delayed students. The grant will provide computational thinking and computer science activities for Heritage students enrolled in special education classes, allowing them to do more with their computer time than just play games or browse the web. To make this a reality, Heritage has partnered with the local award-winning music mentorship program, EMA Music and Arts. Every week, students are learning to code through music and are moving full steam ahead by putting the arts into STEM. Since code is a language, the students reinforce vocabulary, spelling, and typing skills. These exceptional students have fully embraced coding and are quickly building an impressive resume to further their education or gain meaningful employment in a rewarding career field. To celebrate the students' hard work, Heritage held a Super Bowl of coding at EMA's music studio located in Triumph Christian Center. After enjoying a tailgate-style breakfast, students were able to showcase their impressive coding knowledge for parents, teachers, and administrators by using code to build their own Super Bowl theme song. Once these students complete their coding certification, they will pass on their knowledge to kindergartners at Carver Elementary. So, who was once the student will become the teacher, proving that nothing can hold back a motivated mind from learning and succeeding.
The Amazing Wetlands Middle School Engineering Design Challenge, held at Crittenden Middle School, presented a task tied to the importance of the health of our region's waterways. Secondary Science Curriculum Supervisor, Dr. Rodney Culverhouse, who headed up the challenge, found the perfect event sponsor, the James River Association. The JRA is a guardian and steward of the James River and employs wetland experts. For the challenge, 6th and 7th graders representing all Newport News middle schools took on the role of environmental engineers who performed wetland restorations. Each team used knowledge and experimentation to help them create the most effective wetland possible. Teams earned points if their wetland properly filtered water, neutralized the pH levels, reduced turbidity or haziness of the water, and slowed the flow rate of water passing through. Experimental stations were set up for the team members to research different materials found in wetlands. These findings were crucial in understanding how to best use the materials provided for the Wetland Creation Challenge. Throughout the timed event, JRA scientists offered guidance and encouragement to the young environmental engineers. The innovative team at Dozier won the top 6th grade award, and the 7th grade team with the highest points was from Huntington Middle. Yet it was every student who gained a better understanding of their responsibility for the wetlands of the James River.
Volunteers from Newport News Shipbuilding visited Palmer Elementary to share insights on career readiness skills and developing STEM knowledge. To help illustrate their point, these shipbuilders used reading to relay their powerful message. Last year, Career Pathways at Newport News Shipbuilding held a contest for shipbuilders to create a children's storybook. The top 3 winners were illustrated and printed by the shipbuilding to share with children across Hampton Roads. 8 volunteers visited Palmer to read the brand new books hot off the presses. The volunteers, representing various careers and departments in the shipyard, read aloud to different grades. During their time together, the shipbuilders talked about their educational backgrounds, the importance of gaining STEM knowledge at a young age, and their role in building the world's greatest ships. By reaching out to our local schools, Newport News Shipbuilding is using literacy to inspire the next generation of talented and skilled shipbuilders.
Welcome back, and I hope you enjoyed our school board spotlight. So we'll move the agenda. At this time during our meeting, we provide time for the public to address the board. They are scheduled at the early part of the meeting and then again at the end of the agenda. The board considers this an opportunity to listen to your comments. Please understand that we consider your concerns or get back with you at a later date. And so we do have some cards today, so I would like to tell you that please comply with our 3-minute limit. As you begin your comments, a green light comes on. Then a yellow light will come on when you have 30 seconds. And then at the end of that 30 seconds, you'll hear the red light comes on and then the beep. So again, as you hear your name, please come to the mic, identify yourself, and we might as well start. So first we have Miss Jamie Bazemore. Is she here? Hello. Hello, Miss Bazemore. Good evening.
Mr. Chairman and members of the school board, how are you all this evening? It's been a wonderful sunshiny day. Sometimes in looking for things that you need look no further than your backyard. So board members, we are doing a national school superintendent search, but maybe we need to look in our backyard. We're looking for integrity, innovativeness, someone who cares about our children and staff, someone who puts children first. We have some great people in the Newport News public school system, but one stands out. He has done the legwork, he knows the system, and can hit the ground running. I recall 2 national searches that we did that resulted in individuals following the money. So they spent no time in our school system. Let us look for the best for our children, board members. Let me reintroduce you to Brian Nichols, a man that I have found to be one of integrity and honesty. Look in the backyard. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ben, is it Hardrock? Ben Haruki, it is I. Haruki. It is an I. That's right.
Okay, I will stand here. Thank you. Perfect. Hello, everyone. Hi, all of the board members. I just wanted to say a few things. First of all, I do understand Newport News Public Schools has a lot of issues related to deaf education. And I would like to speak entirely to special education, because a lot of people do not understand the necessities for deaf children and their education. So that department specifically needs a little more collaboration with Gallaudet University. We need a liaison, because we need to sorry. Do you mind? 5 minutes. So the support that we have for Gallaudet University should be included as workshops related to deaf needs. And without that connection, it could be deaf children being labeled as, a wasted necessity, and it's not benefiting or providing anything for deaf children. So when I work with deaf children, and I'm sure all of you don't really understand anything about deaf needs and aren't really participating in the deaf education or special needs, so maybe this is something that, we should really kind of understand a little bit more, because we need to visually see what is going on and what deaf people need. So the state of Virginia has a teacher shortage. And that, means teachers could be placed everywhere, depending on money and funding. Like, even the board members, you guys are placing money elsewhere. For some teachers who are working really hard, they're not getting that beneficial funding. And I'm not sure if Newport News exactly has 20 or 25% teachers that are kind of being placed everywhere around the schools, and it could be, wasting funding. So it's not right to be placing them elsewhere, but, it is something that they deserve instead of being looked over. There are a couple of teachers that are off during the same year, and it's just not right. It does need to change. Another thing, also, teachers get about $50 for their 10 months of work that they could spend on activities or any type of, things that they have to do. However, teachers usually have to spend money out of their pocket to get to support special ed. And I know Trump has gotten the tax reform. However, that has gotten rid of the teachers' deductions that they usually get. So that is something that you guys need to consider, that teachers spend money out of their pockets for it. And it should be a standardization with funding. So it should be equal education. And I would like to see the school, divvying up funding, maybe, $30 per month. I think that should be fair. And thank you for listening to my words.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we have Jim Batterson. Jim was also a former school board member.
So I come here knowing that you guys have a very full schedule of doing some important educational things. And I hate to bother you with this, but we've been the neighbors in my area, Scott Road, have been through staff and gotten no results over the past 2 years, and so there's no choice but to come to the board and spend some time with you. You've heard from me and have my written comments from December, and you've heard from Mr. Smithson, one of the neighbors, and his written comments in January. So I'll just summarize today, and I think the important points. I haven't seen anything happen, and we're getting to a new season in another week or so. Well, actually, something has happened. Parks and Rec has put a counter in by the gate to see how many people come at different times of the day. I don't know how they distinguish between large dogs and people in the morning when my neighbors walk their dogs, but somehow they're taking counts. Go back to 1992 to 95, and that's when activity picked up on that field considerably. Under an MOU, a formal MOU between the schools and Parks and Rec, Parks and Rec was allowed to use school property on a non-interference basis with the educational program. And they were responsible for making sure it was used that way, and the schools having oversight over that. The schools were very concerned about the impacts on neighborhoods and ones from some of the fields, and in particular at Hydenwood, because of the concerns, they had locked the gates on the field and put signs up saying that people using the field, the athletic fields, should enter from the parking lot of the school, which people did for about almost 20 years. The Little League was very cooperative, and it put every year on their schedule, please do not use Scott Road or public roads to park on, but park in the parking lot. But about 2015 or so, they stopped putting that, and by 2016, somebody, and we think it was the league, since they had threatened a neighbor with cut the lock off, and they started using the gate, and everybody else followed them through, ignoring the signs. Which bothered me as a citizen, because I know that the third C of citizenship for you guys third C of your mission is citizenship, right? And so I said, well, this isn't very good citizenship. The parents modeling this behavior of climbing over fences and going through gates and ignoring signs that are telling their kids what to do. So how do the kids know to do what you ask them to do? Another piece of that is in the 1990s, the school division went to no tobacco products on school board property, and that was initiated by the assistant principals in the high school and the athletic directors and the coaches. They were concerned that the adults in the system should model good behavior, not just say students don't smoke, but model healthy behaviors. So, and that's why you have no smoking and no tobacco products anywhere on school board property. So on the Little League field, we have signs up saying no smoking. So the parents go through the gate now on Scott Road. They go out to the street just a few feet away from the kids, and full-sighted kids stand there, 4 or 5 of them at a time, and smoke, leaving their cigarette butts on the street. I don't think that's good citizenship, modeling a behavior that you guys have said you don't want. So if you would please look, there is an MOU, there was an MOU. The assistant superintendent seems to think it's an urban myth, but I saw it and had it in my own hands. Will you please get with the MOU, get responsibilities, and take responsibility for that field? Make sure that Parks and Rec oversees it properly, and that the league and the users of that field properly respect the neighborhoods they're in and the mission of the school division to treat kids as future grown-ups in our society. Thank you very much for your attention. And again, I'm sorry to bother you every month with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have James Stansel.
Good day, everyone. Glad to see you still got your heads on. Now let's get to the real business. I did a Freedom of Information request with your school board because most of you don't believe that the majority of the kids in your school system are C students. So let me give you some numbers, okay? I asked your school board, anybody with a 3.2 GPA or higher, how many students were in the school system in high school? 1,511, all right? 1,500. That's out of 5,511, all right? Then I asked her, give me the GPA numbers for everybody less than 3.2 because that's normally the cutoff for colleges. You got 3,978 students in your school system that are C students. And my question once again to you all, You cannot keep graduating kids who are C students just knowing George Washington's birthday and thinking they're going to be fine in the world. They're not. You aren't giving them any career planning. You aren't giving them any planning whatsoever. Who helps them fill out a Pell Grant once they get out of school if they do want to go to a trade program? Where can they seek assistance? You had thought about that, had you? No, I know you hadn't. I fill out Pell Grants and get people in school. That's why I think about this stuff, okay? And I'm finding out that you don't have any trade schools throughout the area, because I've lived in Chicago for 25 years where they do have trade schools. So I can't get kids in trade schools here. You just opened up a truck driving school in Midtown, a cook school wanting $28,000 over in Oyster Point, which the average kid is going to be in debt when he gets out of school, which makes no sense. So all I'm asking you all to do is provide more services for the majority of your students. If the majority of your students are C students, why does all of the resources go to the A students? They get no counseling when they graduate. You give them a diploma, and guess what they know when they graduate? George Washington's birthday. That's it. They can read and write and got no guarantees in life. And you wonder why the crime statistics are going up in Newport News. Because you're not helping the majority of the kids. You're graduating them, which is nice. That's a nice, honorable thing to do. Now, my thing is that you need to have some form of career planning for these kids. You need to increase the trade school opportunities for these kids in the school system. And I'm going to go over the trade school next time I speak at your next meeting, because I got a list of your trade programs and they're not looking pretty, folks. Okay? You got medical programs over there and you teaching people how to be phlebotomists. Now, how many people do you need to stick a needle in somebody's arm? What's happening with medical coding? What's happening with nursing? These types of programs. You know, if you look at the programs that you offering over there at what's the name of that school? New Horizons. New Horizons got 500,000 kids between Newport News, Yorktown, Hampton, and this city trying to go to school over there. And you're not offering enough programs for the kids. And my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Debbie North.
Good evening. Hello, my name is Debbie North, and I'm a nationally certified sign language interpreter. I am here on behalf of all of our deaf and hard of hearing students in Newport News Public Schools. In the 12 years I've been working in the Deaf Ed program, I have seen many people come and go. Some have had positive influences, and some not so positive. One positive, the interpreters themselves have successfully advocated for the hiring of qualified interpreters per the VDOE regulations. But there are some that have had a very negative impact on our program, and this stems from hiring unqualified deaf ed teachers. Currently, Newport News does not require a deaf ed teacher to have any proficiency in American Sign Language, which results in no direct communication or instruction with the deaf students. Also, in the deaf ed program, we have 2 assistants that can sign and communicate directly with our students. Unfortunately, in the beginning of the year, one assistant was moved out of our classroom because of staffing shortages. Just recently, the other assistant, with almost 20 years of deaf ed experience, was pulled for the same reason and replaced with someone who had no knowledge or experience working with deaf students. Luckily, this recent situation was remedied very quickly. I understand that people come to you with their concerns and complaints and frustrations, but I'd like to come to you tonight with some possible solutions to some of our problems in the Deaf Ed program. Solution 1, change the job requirements for Deaf Ed teacher to read must have a degree in deaf education and must be fluent in American Sign Language for direct communication with their students. Solution 2, make Deaf Ed assistant an actual job position and with the position code with appropriate requirements so that they cannot be pulled on a whim, leaving our students without a qualified assistant. Solution 3, early intervention. In the tenets of the pre-child study, and I don't have time to read them all, but I've highlighted 2 and 3, it says to increase the likelihood of success, intervention must occur at the earliest indication of academic and behavioral need. Number 3, these interventions and practices must be effective, efficient, and linguistically and culturally responsive. Currently, when a deaf or hard of hearing child is evaluated for PEEP and approved because of a language delay, they are automatically approved for speech therapy. But the child is not given a cultural or linguistic model. In actuality, we are not even allowed to mention the option of sign language. This seems to go against the least restrictive environment and total communication environment that Newport News Public Schools says it provides. Only when speech therapy has failed and their communication has failed, then they bring a sign language interpreter in. Unfortunately, that happens years later, and we're playing catch up. I have had many experience in PEEP in elementary, and I've seen this firsthand. Solution 4, I'm running out of time, educating everyone. I think educating the adults we work with is key, not only the teachers, the administrators, but all the way up to our superintendent. I understand deaf and hard of hearing is 1% of our student population, but they need 100% of your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I guess we have another call from Miss Jamie Bazemore.
Let's talk about Huntington. So what happens now? Do we sit and wait another 2 or 3 years before anything is done with our school? Members of the school board, even March of 2019 was a long way off for me. And we need to make a decision as to what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, and not wait any longer on planning. We need to move forward because I'm tired. And our students don't need to wait another 3 to 5 years for our school to be worked on or reopened. We've already had at least 7 years, not you all specifically, but there's been at least 7 years that have gone by when we could have been doing something for the school. So my request is that, having been in the joint session that we had, my request is that you all tell City Council what it is that you want. Just tell them, and let's see where they go from there. Okay? Like I said, let's just get Huntington done. You know, a vote is a precious commodity. We worked long and hard for, and we need your votes so that you can go forward and ask them to do what needs to be done. We need the funding. We need it immediately. And I'm here. I'll go. If you want me to go and talk, tell them what to do, I'll do it. What the heck? But anyway, let us all come together and get this done now. I appreciate you, and keep doing a good job. And I won't call you on the carpet.
Next we have Danielle Peterson.
Good evening. I've had the privilege of having some contact with some of you, which I thank you very, very much. It's meant volumes. Introduce myself. I'm Danielle Peterson. I'm a nationally certified sign language English interpreter. I have more than 20 years experience, and I'm also a parent of a deaf child, Jace Peterson, in the green hoodie, who attends Newport News Public Schools. I'm addressing you tonight because I have some significant concerns in the realm of educating deaf and hard of hearing children, but primarily tonight I would like to address the needs of my son. We've had a number of issues, if you will, that have come up through the years. We adopted our son from Thailand almost 6 years ago, and our son's needs were very significant. And the first thing I have to say is we've had some amazing people here that have come to support this goal tonight, that have gone through a lot to be here tonight. And I want you to know that this is not a popular decision that they've made. So that I think is very relevant for you all to hear. Their involvement with these students and bringing their years of experience, very specialized training, has done an amazing job with my son alone. Nonetheless, all the other students that have been impacted in an extremely positive and productive way. One thing that was mentioned by both Ben, I'm sorry, Ben and Debbie. I'm very nervous, I'm sorry. But anyway, it's okay. But what was mentioned by both of them was the fact that these students have very, very critical language access needs. And if those needs aren't addressed immediately, the access to academics, you might as well throw it out the window. Because any person who can't communicate or comprehend can't learn. And our children have that capacity. They just need people to stand up for their rights. And we need to educate not only the administrative staff that are making decisions on a day-to-day basis, which they are not educated to make, but also the parents. The parents of these children trust that the school administrators, the school staff, the school board, everyone that they pay taxes to will educate their children. And will make sure that whatever they don't know to do, they'll get that from the school. And that is not happening. That's my concern. The people that are working in the trenches, so to speak, that work diligently daily trying to build the students' language, cognitive development, language development, awareness of the world at large, and also, of course, their academics, those individuals do not have a support system to advocate for their voice. Their voice is for these kids, but then there's nobody supporting them. So as a parent, I go and I say, my child needs XYZ, and then they say, administration's not supporting us. We can't provide that. Or they took our support away. All these terrible things that I'm hearing, and then I have to go to the mayor. Well, I didn't, my husband did. But anyhow, we had to go through the chain of command. We've even filed for mediation. I'm sorry, I'm going over. But we even filed for mediation so that our son can have his IEP within compliance continuously. That's how devastating of an effect these things are having on our children. They are not learning the things that they should learn, and they can learn to read and write, no matter what anybody says, even when they say they're never going to learn past this grade level. They're never going to. They look at Mr. Haruki. He's one of how many deaf people in the deaf community that are successful people in the community at large as citizens. So the last thing I would like to say is, if our goal is for our students to be college ready, career ready, and citizen ready, how are we meeting that goal for our deaf kids? So as a parent, I plead you, and I will definitely come back with this mission, that we work on a plan to make a connection between our amazing staff and the decisions that are being made that are impacting our children. Thank you for letting me go over. I appreciate it.
And we have John Peterson.
Well, I guess you took a minute of my time. Again, I'm here simply to advocate not only for my son, but for all of the deaf and hard of hearing students in the school district of Newport News. However, we know it's not a Newport News problem. It's a national problem. And I'm making it an absolute goal to make it a national effort to help all of these students. And I'm telling you flat out, I live in Newport News. My son goes to Newport News. I work in Newport News. Yes, I'm the one that went to the mayor, because people keep saying, why did you go to the mayor? I went to the mayor because last year we had an issue, and we went through the chain of command. I've been a civil servant my whole life. I understand chain of command. We did it, and it took months to get a resolution. Unanswered emails, unanswered phone calls. They're out of town. We can't help. I went to the mayor, and in 15 minutes, the issue that I had was resolved. 15 minutes, which means the issue that had to be resolved should never have happened in the first place. Okay? So very simply, I'm here to speak for all of those kids, each and every one of them. You have amazing people that work with these children on a daily basis. In my job, I'm the only one in the city that does what I do. So people often come to me and say, how do we handle this? Or ask for my input, and I give it to them. And I'm just a working guy. So many times they'll come and say, you know, how do we handle this? What do we do? And I'll give my input, and maybe they don't agree with it, but that's fine. But they ask. Nobody's asking the professionals in the room. We're just making decisions. It's absolutely flooring to me that last year we had an incident in my son's class where they made a change that was absolutely beyond belief. You brought in a teacher that didn't know how to sign, wasn't a certified teacher, was not certified to teach in sign language, and we have, my wife shows up for open school night and says, "Hi, how are you?" in sign language, and the teacher of the deaf knew nothing of what she just said. That's impossible to believe. That can't happen. So we went round and round with the school. We went round and round with administration. We were this close to walking in the courtroom for arbitration when the school finally said, well, we'll make some repairs. But in reality, if it wasn't for my wife's hard work with my son last year, he would have lost another year of school. He's already way behind because of his life circumstance. What about all of those other kids in the class? That's parents don't know. They were unaware this was happening. They just kind of believed when they sent their child to school they were going to get everything that they need. They're not getting what they need. And I'm the guy that went to the mayor, and now I'm the guy that's standing here, and you're going to see me again and again and again until this problem is fixed. You need to address this. You can be the flagship across the country. I'll wave your flag higher than anybody if you fix this problem. Again, it's a national problem, but you can fix it in the city of Newport News. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, you're coming up on the 30-minute mark. Do you want to continue?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna get next we have Ms. Priscilla Barnett. She's a Paris school board. Ms. Barnett is a Paris school board member as well.
Mr. Hunter, board members, citizens for being here. I'm actually going to speak a little bit about Huntington. After hearing that tonight was going to be the night that you made a decision, I decided to do research because I feel that we can pretty much Google everything now. So, and in 1912, respected attorney, civic leader J. Thomas Newsom led the African American citizens of Newport News for petitioning for a black high school. The struggle was for many years before city officials even considered a high school for this request. In 1919, the city designated a classroom for high school education at the all-black John Marshall Elementary School. Students from Newport News, Warwick County, surrounding areas to attend these classes. The school was named Dunbar High School in honor of the writer Paul Laurence Dunbar. Eventually, the city moved its own to a 4-room structure called Joseph Parker School, renamed Huntington High School in 1920 in honors of Collis Potter Huntington, who founded the shipyard. In 1936, a new 3-story brick building was constructed, and in 1971 is when the 48th and final class graduated from Huntington High School. And this information came from the Virginia Foundation for the Humanities. So it's ironic that members of the community had to petition the city to get a high school for black students in 1912. And now citizens are petitioning the city council and the school board to keep the school that's an historic landmark. It's just amazing, and it's almost 100 years because 1919 and 2019. Why should you consider demolishing a building that was built in 1936 that may have asbestos that may have been used? So prior to considering destroying such a historic landmark, also consider the cost of demolishing that building. Why not keep the structure, renovate the interior, since the building has such a strong foundation? Booker T. Washington Middle School was gutted, rebuilt and has proven to be successful. Members of the school board and Mr. Nichols, please keep this historic school so that many who fought to have it built and so many are fighting to keep it a part of the community. Thank you.
Next, we have Miss Ramona Trumbull. Is that correct?
Good evening. I'm addressing you guys today with all the fights that's going on in our high schools. I'm none too pleased. My daughter got in the fight February 9th, and before I can leave the school, the video was actually on Instagram. She's been bullied since she was in the 6th grade by this particular young lady, which I took care of that. But the phones constantly being pulled out, recording the children getting beat up, fights after fights after fights. They're making a mockery out of our high schools. What are we going to do about this? The officer or the security guard that got fired, they're making a big mockery out of it. Like it's just funny. The humiliation that the children has to deal with, the zero tolerance that the children has to deal with, it's not okay. It's robbing our children education. We have a lot of good students in our schools, but if we got to constantly deal with the behaviors of these children being bullied, being humiliated on social media in our neighborhoods, and then bringing it into the school, recording it on the phones, who wants to live with that? I have to, the video that the school didn't have, I had it before the school. They didn't remade the video, 1,200 views on it as we speak. I contacted Instagram, I called the police. My child is being humiliated as we speak behind these videos that these children taking their phones out in school recording these fights. They got a page on Instagram as we speak about our public schools, all these fights. I don't know if y'all are aware of these things going on in social media. We have good kids. They don't need to be humiliated. Not only in the school for someone jumping on 5 and 10 children's getting jumped in the bathroom, all in the office, everywhere, and recording it before y'all can get a hold of it. It's on social media like it's a game. It's not okay. Kids killing kids. Kids are emotional disturbed behind these videos and the humiliation of the recordings of these cell phones in the school. So could y'all please, I have the videos as we speak of some of the fights that has been going on that's being posted as we speak. And I'm a parent. And some have to give. Or our children, it's not safe. It's not okay. So can y'all please look into that and kind of get a handle of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Rodney Hunter.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and school board members, the acting superintendent, Dr. Nichols. I agree with Janie Bazemore about the work you've been doing already as acting superintendent. Thank you for being in the community. I'm from Richmond, Virginia. I'm a graduate of Huntington High School, and I'm here to ask you to consider and to move to make Huntington stay a middle school as it is. I think it's history in this city, the lives that it's touched. I think it deserves to remain a middle school and a place in our community that's positive for our young people. Now, one of the problems, when we talk about the democracy, we come out to speak. So many times, councils, school boards will say, well, we don't have the funds. That's no excuse. Do the right thing. And I think your job is, and I'm not trying to be negative, but your job is to find the funds to do what's necessary for the citizens. when we want to talk about a participation in government, we have representatives. We don't put people in office to tell us what they're going to do. We want the people to do what we ask them to do. And we know there are some things that become very difficult, but let's sit down and try to iron them out. I think that's what's been said tonight. If there is a problem, let's come together as a community to solve it. And we don't, we have a mayor who went to Huntington. I don't know what his position is, but he does not speak solely for the community. So we want Huntington to be a middle school. We don't want things to happen to drag a process out and then to say, well, we don't have the funds now, or we decided to do something else. Because we, as citizens of the city of Newport News, and I still consider myself a citizen. I love this city. I love Huntington, and I love the children in this city. Hearing what the young lady was saying about the bullying, I'm a minister. Whatever we can do to work to solve the problem, we want to do that. It's not a school board issue, it's a community issue. And I'm just saying, we've come out to say we are here with you. Please hear our voices, and let's make the democracy what it ought to be, where people's voices are heard, not just during election time, but all the time. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Next, we have Reverend James Brown.
Good evening, Mr. Hunter, members of the school board. Before I speak anything negative, I want to say something positive. First of all, I want to commend the members of the school board and members of the city council who attended Huntington's Black History program last Sunday at First Baptist Church, East End. Being there gave you an opportunity to hear of the history, so I won't go back through it. You heard it. You know how much Huntington means to this community. It was a school that fought every opposition that it had to fight in order to establish itself in a community where everything was working negative towards it. But yet, in the midst of adversity, that school became one of the top high schools in the nation. One of the top. Not only academically, athletically, but in the workforce and everything else. It provided education for people to have trades that when most of them graduated from Huntington High School, they were already able to go on a job and work. Took that away. Over the period of years, the school has decayed. I believe it was because of a systematic trying to destroy that school. Anybody that has a house or a home know that you have to do repairs. You can't wait 10 years. Money has been budgeted and sent to the city by this school board from 2015 and maybe before that. And each year the city has said that they had something else more important to do before attending the needs of Huntington High School. Now you know and I know the life of any city is the children, the youth, the education of those children and youth who grow up, get jobs, and add to the economy of the city in which they live in. Huntington provided the kind of base for children that was like the first and second year of college. When they came out, they were already prepared. They were educated, disciplined, and willing to work. Most of that is gone. How can we just take away the trades and the arts and things from schools that are so needed in this community? How can we just overlook it? How can you let the school board get away with it? So my concern is, as Janie and many other people that are here tonight, Huntington must remain a school. Secondly, school board superintendent. I know you're doing a nationwide search, but I believe that we have the person who's equipped, ready, and able to be board superintendent right here on this panel. And his name is Brian Nicholson. He knows more about the school, more about the area, and he's proven that he's concerned about the citizens and the children in this area. That's all I have to say.
And then last, we have James Lovett.
Good evening, school board and fellow citizens. My name is James Lovett, and I reside at 8 Riverlands Drive, Apartment F, Newport News, Virginia. Excuse me. I have two issues here. One issue is that most of you all know I'm a substitute teacher in the school system here, and I find that cell phones is a problem, especially with subs, because they have to deal with telling the kids 4 or 5 different times, put your cell phone down, put your cell phone down. And it's a distraction in the classroom. I talked to a former system principal, and I said, we need to set the example for the kids. We don't need to have walk around in the school system with our cell phones, because we have to set the example. If little Johnny see me with my cell phone out, little Johnny says, well, Mr. Lovett got his phone out, so I can pull mine out. It's not the way it works. Same thing with the dress codes. I see a lot of teachers, not performing, out of the dress codes. The young ladies, some of them be wearing outfits that shouldn't be worn in school. I knew one teacher that, like I said, a couple of them that was wearing an outfit that wasn't appropriate for school. The bullying thing, somebody needs to work on that. But like I said, I think the cell phones, because the system, I think now is where you can use your cell phone at lunchtime, and you can use it only for listening to music. Now, some cases where students, make phone calls. But when I was in school, we didn't have no cell phone. We didn't need a cell phone. If my mother wanted to contact me, she would call the school, say, I need to speak to Bubba. And if I wanted to call home, I could go to the office and make a phone call. If you need to have more people working in the office so students can make phone calls to their parents, and just get rid of the cell phones. They don't need the cell phones. Second issue here is about Huntington Middle School. I'll say keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep Huntington Middle School alive. In 2050, hopefully, if God allows me to live there long, I would like to ride at 3401 Orchard Avenue in my red Corvette and still see Huntington Middle School there on that site. This school is very important to the community. It's a community neighborhood school, and it should remain a neighborhood school. If you tear it down, rebuild it. If you gut it out, it should remain a high school. And like I said, it's in the southeast, and we need a middle school in the southeast community. And keep hope alive.
Well, I would like to thank each and every one who came forward with their comments. Again, we will take your comments and we will act on them, or we would definitely review them, what have you. So again, thank you. We've heard you loud and clear, and we will then discuss these at a different time amongst ourselves. Okay. All right, we're going to move the agenda to item number 3, our consent agenda. Items number 3.01, 3.02, 3.03, 3.04, and 3.05. There are your minutes and financial reports and personnel reports.
Mr. Chairman, I move adoption.
Second. You heard the motion to move and heard the second. Time for the question. There being none, Mrs. Hinton, would you call the roll?
Mr. Ashby?
4.
Mr. Brown?
4.
Mr. Ely?
4.
Mr. Harris?
4.
Mr. Hunter?
4.
Ms. Simons? 4. And Mr. Starchill?
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 4, action items. Personnel actions.
No personal actions tonight.
Okay, no personnel action. Very good. We'll move on to item number 4.02, application for the VSBA Excellent Workforce Readiness Award.
Yes, that's Newport News wants to win every award imaginable, and one of the awards out there is about workplace readiness. We have a very strong workplace readiness story. In order to apply for that award around the things we're doing career-wise in Newport News, we really think we have a strong chance to win it. It requires board action for us to apply. So you're giving us permission to apply to win the award.
So, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that we accept the application for the Workforce Readiness Award.
Okay.
Second.
You heard the motion, you heard the second. Time for the question. There being done, Ms. Hinton, please call the roll.
Mr. Ashby?
4.
Mr. Brown?
4.
Mr. Ely?
4.
Mr. Harris?
4.
Mr. Hunter?
4.
Ms. Simons?
4.
And Mr. Starchill?
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move the agenda to item number 5, reports and information. I think we have up first, we're going to have Ms. Brooks will give us a review of next year's calendar.
Great, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Nichols. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to share highlights from the 2018-2019 school calendar that's being proposed by our division-wide calendar committee, which includes parents, teachers, and representatives from several of our departments, including academic services, child nutrition services, human resources, student transportation, and the business office, all of whom came together to provide very valuable input in terms of the calendar development process. Now, the draft calendar also reflects recommendations from the 6 school divisions on the peninsula that come together to form the regional calendar committee. For over 10 years, the regional calendar committee has worked to determine unified days for our winter and spring breaks, our semester endpoints, and for professional development. With the 6 school divisions working together, it's benefited our regional programs such as those that are housed at New Horizons, as well as our families across the peninsula. But before I speak about the calendar itself, there are several factors that we consider in planning the calendar. First, under Virginia law, public schools open after Labor Day, so that's always our starting point. Next is our instructional program for students, which drives the development of the calendar. So with that as our guide, we determine our marking periods, our teacher work days, our family conference times, our staff development days, and then our breaks or holiday observances. Then the calendar is based on the state requirement of a minimum of 180 instructional days for our students. The state also allows us to base our calendars on 990 instructional hours per year, but as a region, we initially base our calendars on days. Now, once we have our student days in place, we then add teacher work days and professional development days for a total of 191 teacher days. And lastly, we work within a 245-day contract period or appointment period for our 12-month staff. And now I'd like to share some of the highlights from the calendar that we are proposing for next year. As I mentioned earlier, under Virginia law, public schools open after Labor Day, so next school year will begin on Tuesday, September 4th. Our calendar schedules family conference time during each semester, and it provides a teacher work day during each quarter with time for professional development. It also designates November 21st, which is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, as a teacher and student holiday with our offices closing for a half day. Across the region, or across the peninsula, winter break will begin with an early dismissal on Wednesday, December 19th, and continue through Tuesday, January 1st, with schools and offices reopening on Wednesday, January 2nd of 2019. Now, the month of January also includes the Dr. King holiday and a division-wide professional development day at the end of first semester, which is consistent with all of the school divisions that surround us. The calendar also includes one inclement weather day with the flexibility to designate additional makeup days or hours as needed. Now, earlier I mentioned a state requirement of 180 instructional days for students. We also have the option of meeting the minimum requirement of 990 instructional hours. In this school division, we're taking advantage of that option to make up the days that we lost in January due to snow. In February of 2019, our schools will observe President's Day, but our offices will be open. And then throughout the peninsula, spring break will be the first Monday through Friday in April. So in 2019, the break will be April 1st through the 5th. Now, we are also including our graduation ceremony dates for our seniors, which will be Saturday and Sunday, June 8th and 9th. And in closing out the school year, the calendar designates Friday, June 14th as the last student day, and Monday, June 17th as the last teacher workday. So in terms of our next steps, we'll continue to solicit input on the proposed calendar from our school community through a link to the draft calendar on our webpage, with the opportunity for viewers to provide input and to ask questions. And then based on that input, we will revise the calendar if needed. The final draft will then come before you at your regular monthly meeting on March 27th. And once the calendar is approved, we will publicize the calendar through our school newsletters, through all of our electronic communications such as news and notes and newslines, and then on our school websites and on our school division webpage. And now I'd just like to leave you with a visual of the calendar itself, which is before you this evening. So this concludes my report this evening. It will be a pleasure to respond to your questions or to note your suggestions. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Yes,
very much. Mr. Brown. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to say first one comment, which is very appreciative to see that we've got offices closed on Election Day. I think that that's a great implementation there to ensure citizen participation and encourage our civic involvement of our students. The other item to note is, I think if memory serves me correctly, historically we've been at somewhere around 183 or 184 instructional days in the past, and I noticed that we're at 181, and the concern there is it doesn't seem to give us a lot of days for inclement weather. We have had some inclement weather in the last few years, and with 181 we're cutting it very close. So I personally think or would like to see a few more days in there to give us a little cushion, because as families are looking at the calendar and planning their year, they plan their vacations and their times to be out of school, and it's a jolt to families to suddenly, because we've had inclement weather or some other concerns during the year, to say, well, we have to add on additional time and disrupt those plans.
And it is a challenge for us, Mr. Brown, and we try to do our best in terms of using our hours, because you're correct. If we add additional days, it will take us into June, or we'll have to minimize the number of days for our spring break or our winter break. So we try to balance this as best we can, but I'll take that back to the committee for certain. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Simons?
I have heard on and off from the Muslim community that they would really like some homework and testing flexibility when their students are celebrating Ramadan, and I think other religious communities would also like that. So I would really like to see some kind of communication with teachers that, you know, they should be flexible. If a parent comes and says, you know, my child is going to be celebrating this holiday, can you please work with us to reschedule a test, or some flexibility policy, so that, you know, parents can celebrate some of these holidays, and maybe their child needs to miss a day here or there because of a religious observance. So as we become more and more diverse, I just want to make sure we're taking those holidays into account.
Oh, definitely. In terms of our attendance policy, we do. Those are excused absences, but we will definitely work to do that to make sure that they get all of the instructional materials that they need during that time that they're away.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Just one.
Yes.
Just one comment.
Yes.
The Wednesday before Thanksgiving,
Yes.
the office is open.
Offices are open for a half day,
that's
and
right.
that's to help us meet our 245-day requirement, but it is just a half day for
Okay,
us.
that's I did get that. Okay.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you for the report.
Oh, thank you very much for your input. I appreciate it.
All right, we are going to move the agenda. Item number 5.02, plans for Huntington Middle School. Easement? That's not on mine. I don't have that. Oh, you have easement? I don't have that. All right, actually, I have a different agenda. So we're going to item 5.02, easement agreement with Zebra Plumbing. Oh, yeah, that's why they're here. Who's going to do that? Keith Webb. Mr. Webb?
Morning, or good evening, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, Mr. Nichols. I'm bringing to you a request from Ziegler Plumbing to provide an easement across our property at Mary Passage Middle School. This is an aerial view of our property, and if you look kind of center on the lower, you'll see a long finger sort of thing. That's a lake, and we go out to Warwick Boulevard. As you know, Atkinson Way is in the process of being turned into a 4-lane highway connecting over to Jefferson Avenue. Ziegler Plumbing is going to be negatively impacted by that in their ability to come and go from their place of business. And so the city had suggested to Ziegler that they approach us about possibly buying the property or granting an easement. We decided it was probably our best long-term interest to just grant an easement as opposed to sell the property. We conducted, so this is the drawing that was done by the surveyor. Left out a lot of the pictorial elements of it, but you can see a small triangle on the left-hand side in red, and a large portion of that same over on the right bottom side. This will allow them to construct a driveway that will align with a median cut and allow easier access in and out of their property. It will not impact the operation of our facility at all. They have agreed to pay the assessed value. We hired an appraiser, I should say the appraised value, not the assessed value. We hired an appraiser, they paid for the appraiser, and the appraiser came back and recommended that the sales price should be $13,000, and they provided sufficient evidence to back up that recommendation. And so I'm asking for your approval for this easement and prepared to answer any questions that I'm able to at this time.
Mr. Brown.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple questions. The easement, the operation of the easement, if it's operating during school hours, what's the anticipated disruption if they're working that easement during school hours?
There will be no impact on our operations at all.
Okay. And the potential effect, we've had some discussion around having sidewalks leading up to Passage. Does this easement at all affect planning for sidewalks?
It does not, because the property in question is actually on Warwick Boulevard and not Atkinson Way.
And final last question was around the ability to revoke the easement at a later date. Should our operations need to do that? Is there an ability to do that later?
I've been assured by our legal counsel that that would be something that we could pursue sometime in the future.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? So I do have a question. Do we have, is there anything, any other plans we need to look at, or any other reason that we should hold off on maybe taking action tonight on this particular? Are you waiting for any other surveys? Are you waiting for any anything from the city?
No, we have everything in place. There's a short written agreement, which you probably found in your board packet. This is just the graphic representation of the deal. Everything is in place that would need to be in place in order for you to move forward.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we go ahead and move forward with the easement agreement, the resolution.
You need to move it to action first.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend moving this item to action.
Okay. Do you have a second?
Second.
You heard the motion, heard the second. Time for the question. There being none, would you call a roll?
Mr. Ashby?
4.
Mr. Brown?
4.
Mr. Ely?
4.
Mr. Harris?
4.
Mr. Hunter?
4.
Ms. Simons? 4. And Mr. Starchill?
4.
Motion carries 7-0 to move the item to action.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adopt the resolution as drafted by noted resolution number 18-04.
Second.
You heard the motion, you heard the second. Time for the question. There being none, please call the roll.
Mr. Ashby?
4.
Mr. Brown?
4.
Mr. Ely?
4.
Mr. Harris?
4.
Mr. Hunter?
4.
Ms. Simons? 4. And Mr. Starchill?
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. And thank you. That was a... Okay, we'll move on to now. Our next item.
There we go.
Our next item, 5.03, is that correct?
That's correct.
And we'll do what we're going to do with Huntington Middle School.
Good evening. Chairman Hunter, Vice Chairman Ashby, board members, Mr. Nichols. This evening, I'd like to provide an update on Huntington Middle School and our plans for the future. I would first like to update you on the action taken as a result of the resolution that you passed in December, then share our proposal for the Huntington students for next school year, and then finally detail our next steps for families. In December, you passed a resolution authorizing the superintendent to study the need for and use of the Huntington Middle School site. This resolution divided the work into 2 distinct phases. The first, to study the need to transfer students due to the condition of the building with the due date of this evening. And then the second, to present a recommendation about the need for and use of the building and site by March 2019. You will remember that the need for this resolution arose from the conditions of the building. While the building has undergone many renovations over the year, it was originally constructed in 1936. This building was built to serve approximately 1,400 students, but we currently have a little under 500 there. As you can imagine, with the age of the building, the operation and maintenance costs are high. Significant repairs are needed, and those include HVAC, brick masonry, windows, electrical, and plumbing. The school division has requested capital improvement funding from the city since 2010. Our Phase 1 work, again, to study the need to transfer students due to the building's condition, included many team members from lots of departments across our school division, including transportation, plant services, human resources, community relations, our student information team, and of course, academic services. The most important part of the work that we did included listening. We held multiple listening sessions with parents, alumni, community, faculty, and students, and several important themes emerged as we listened. The first was a desire to keep the children together as a student body, keep the Vikings together. Second, a request to have the students remain close by in the Southeast community. And finally, an appeal to allow the students to continue with the with the teachers and the staff with whom they had already formed relationships. So in light of what we learned from all of these listening sessions, we bring the following proposal to you this evening. The first part is that our current 6th and 7th graders, who would become our 7th and 8th graders next school year, would transition as Huntington Middle School as a whole student body and be housed in one wing of Heritage High School for a school within a school model. This would allow the members of our current Huntington staff, including our principal, Courtney Monpoint, and other staff members, to transition with the students to maintain consistency and assist them with this transition to this new building. This proposal allows us to accommodate the requests we heard from our stakeholders and allows the Vikings student body who started together to remain together. Secondly, we propose that our current 5th graders who are zoned for Huntington be assigned to Crittenden and Hines middle schools based on their addresses. This would include approximately 80 students added to both Crittenden and Hines. If you think in terms of our middle school organization, how we group the students into teams, that is essentially one additional 6th grade team to each of those schools. The map here illustrates the Huntington zone and how we propose to divide the area. We have a larger rendition here and a smaller one on the screen. Again, on your left, it's proposed to be the new Hines zone, and on the right, the Crittenden zone. Finally, I would like to share how we will assist each family in determining what this means for their children. Tomorrow morning, when we all wake up, we will be able to log into Student View and confirm our children's next school. Please allow me to briefly show you how quickly and easily this information can be accessed. And we will certainly share this information with our families beyond this meeting. I'm not certain they're all watching us right now, so we'll spread this far and wide. You're all familiar, I'm sure, with our Student View. If students go onto an actual computer or laptop, this particular feature doesn't work on the phone app, but on any computer computer or laptop, if you log into Student View and you click that course request button, boom, tomorrow morning, right under your name, you will see what school you would be assigned to. It's that easy, one click once you enter Student View. Again, it should be noted that Huntington students in the 6th and 7th grade will still see Huntington Middle School listed as their next school. While they may be housed at Heritage High School, they are not going to be a Heritage High School student. They're still going to be a Viking through and through, just in a new location. So in addition to having the opportunity to review the next school information immediately and electronically, we would also like to meet with families to review the proposed placements and hear feedback on this proposal. We have scheduled a parent information meeting with pizza, I might add, at Huntington this next Monday, February 26th. In addition, we plan to continue meeting with the alumni at their March meeting, and we will return to you on March 20th for a public hearing, and finally on March 27th at your regularly scheduled board meeting for action on this proposal. In closing, I would be remiss if I did not provide a brief update on Phase 2 of your resolution, which again is regarding the future need and use of the Huntington building and site. The city has scheduled $2.8 million for building design as part of their 2019-2023 capital improvement plan. So we plan to continue to solicit input from our alumni, our family members, our community members, and our NMPS staff members. This concludes our updates on the 2 phases of your resolution regarding Huntington Middle School, and I will do my very best to try to answer your questions.
Mr. Ely.
With moving our 7th and 8th graders to Heritage High School, have we ever done that before in previous year? Do you think that school can handle that magnitude of students, or will they be separate? Because I don't want the 7th and 8th graders mingling with the high school students at Heritage.
Understood. We do have experience with a school in the school within a school model, not at Heritage High School per se, but we have done this before. If you're familiar with the Heritage building design or the Woodside building design, it is built into distinct hallways and wings, so it's actually perfect for this kind of situation that we find ourselves in. A certain hallway has its own offices, its own restrooms, its own workrooms, its own classrooms. We can take one separate wing of the building and dedicate it just to Huntington Middle School. Might have been more difficult in some of our other school plants, but we're very fortunate Heritage lends itself to this model very well. It is our intention that we're not having lunches together, we're not having breakfasts together, we're not taking PE together. It is our intention that this be a separate school within a school with their own wing, and they'll be in the cafeteria by themselves, they'll have gym, PE by themselves, the band room by themselves, things like that.
And their school hours will start the same as they was in middle school still?
Well, currently Heritage High School is on our 7 to 2 schedule. Huntington is on our 8 to 3 schedule. It is not unheard of to have a middle school on a 7 to 2 schedule. Both Passage and Dozier are on that schedule. So currently that is what we're figuring out, but both are possible and can be done.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you,
presentation.
Mr.
Anyone else? Mr. Harris.
Good afternoon. What is the max distance of those 80 students where they have to travel from their home now to the 2 proposed schools?
Well, I don't know exactly, but our transportation folks can get that for us. We can get it to you.
The max distance from where one of the rising 6th graders would travel from their
home
address.
Just how far it is from these streets to those 2 schools.
Right.
We can get that easily. I probably should know, but I'm not good with distance.
We can get that. Thought about a open house for the parents of those 80 students to go visit the schools prior
Well,
to school being
interestingly
closed?
enough, if all this is approved and that this is how we decide to move forward, we have Welcome to Middle School Night at the end of March, and so all of our new 6th graders could join in with all the other new 6th graders that are going to become Cougars at Crittenden or Spartans at Hines, and all together we have a huge event to welcome our new 6th graders. It is very important to us that all the 6th graders are accepted as new Cougars, and all of the 6th graders at Hines are new Spartans, and that we don't try to make anyone feel like they are being added to the crowd. They are part of the crowd. This is your new school.
Any other questions? Mr. Rivera.
Hi, sorry, just a point of clarification for me. For the future plan, the phase 2 part, were you planning on you asking the city for the 2.8 million, or is that money that the city has already put aside and said we'll use this for, we'll give you a part of this for
I believe the term that I've come to know is it's been approved but not appropriated yet. So the city council has approved it but has not appropriated to us at this time. So it is in our plan. They approved it, I believe, last month. It would be appropriated, given to us about this time next year. So.
Thank you.
Mr. Ashby.
Good evening, Ms. Tilly. Thank you for your report. I just want to go back over something that you said. You have shared, and Newport News Public Schools has requested funding in the capital improvement budget since 2010 to fund Huntington Middle School.
Yes, sir.
I want to make that perfectly clear, okay? Because the school system has been proactive and proactive. The initial step has been taken. We have observed what was going on at Huntington as far as the deterioration of the building, and not only the deterioration of the building, but making sure that our children are in a safe building, a secure building, and a building that, as far as physicality is concerned, can provide opportune instruction for them. So again, since 2010, the school system has gone ahead and initiated and requested those funds. In reference to the phase of the students going to the 7th and 8th grade students being in Heritage High School, one of the things, I think it's a good plan. I also think that there's an advantage there because 7th and 8th grade students can actually be mentored by high school students. They can actually physically see where they're going to be or where they can possibly be, and it could be a wonderful connectivity. I have this 7 years at a pre-K through 8th grade school, and one of the phenomenal things that got to happen is 7th and 8th grade students came to mentor and read to my kindergarten students. Kindergarten students also got to go up to the 7th and 8th grade hallway and recite poems and do things. So it was a wonderful connectivity and mentorship. Academics are extremely important, but the social, developmental, emotional growth of students is equally important, or even more important in a situation setting like that. So I believe that the administrators that are there, which I know very well, will provide supervision. It will be constructive. I'm sure that discipline will be placed in a situation setting like that, and our children will excel and succeed. And this is a temporary situation because we know futuristically and down the road that our goal is to go ahead and to make sure that we have a Huntington Middle School in the Southeast community. So I do thank you so very much for your report. I appreciate that.
Mr. Brown.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of questions. So in regards to, since 2010, just to clarify again, the school board has made requests to fund and replace or renovate Huntington since 2010, pretty much consecutively. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So
that is correct.
Yes, sir.
So then it has been at least probably since that time 3 different school boards who have attempted to work with City Council to get funding for Huntington Middle School.
In some variation.
In some variation or fashion. 3 different school boards who have attempted to get funding for Huntington Middle School. And is it correct that in regards to the Virginia law, I'm looking at Virginia Statute 22-1 and Virginia Code 15.2, that the school board must request funding for specific projects and the City Council must approve and appropriate specific projects in the capital improvement budget cycle? Is that correct?
I'm not sure of that code, but that's how the process works. Yes, sir.
That is the process.
How the process works. So very specifically, for at least since 2010, multiple school boards have put forward the specific project of replace or renovate Huntington as a specific line item in the capital improvement budget. And since 2010, every single year, City Council has specifically, not just holistically, but specifically said no to funding the project, which is the replacement of Huntington Middle School or renovation thereof of Huntington Middle School.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. So I just want to make that point of clarification in public and for the citizens to understand that it has been a very, very long time that the school board has been attempting to remedy Huntington, the building, and we are now in a situation where the building, we've had independent architects, an independent architecture study that deemed that the building was no longer, we were no longer able to have kids in that building. So just as people are reeling from I'm sure it feels like a gut punch in terms of, the situation where we have to move kids. We don't have an alternative at this point in time, unless there is funding that is given for us to renovate or replace Huntington. And out of the requested funds, the funds were requested this year by, I think if I understand, a unanimous vote. Is that correct on this board? We made a unanimous vote to request funding for Huntington. Is that correct? And out of the $36 million that was requested, we have received $0 for Huntington. And we received approval to spend $2.8 million on a picture, on a design. We are allowed to draw a picture of Huntington, is what we have been given approval for, not appropriation for. That's what we've been given approval for, to draw a picture of Huntington, not to build Huntington, draw a picture of Huntington. So I just want the public to really understand where we are as a school division at this point in time. So in the best interest of the children, we heard from the community. One of the things that was concerning was the splitting up of kids in Hines and Crittenden, and this is in our estimation at this point in time, this is the best of what is available to us, is to keep the kids together and allow them to go to Heritage together and be one student body together at this point in time. Okay, thank you. That's those questions I have.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, we're going to move on with the agenda. Item number 5.04, membership report, 5.05, attendance report, 5.06, construction report, they were added to your package. Do you have any questions? If there not being none, we'll move on to comments by our acting superintendent.
Great, thank you. Once again, I want to acknowledge and thank our dedicated school board members. This is School Board Appreciation Month, for everything they do on behalf of public education and students that we serve. Also, on behalf of Huntington, thank you for your input throughout the process. When we started this process in December to where we are now, the proposal is vastly different. And it's vastly different because of all of the community groups we talked to. So we really did take that feedback. It's been a privilege to get to know the Huntington community in this manner, and really come up with a solution, short-term solution, and then really advocate for a long-term solution to have a Huntington Middle School in the Southeast community. That is a priority for me. Also, I'm doing a 40 in 40 tour, so it's 40 schools in 40 days. So every school by spring break, to talk to every faculty. One, to thank them for the work they're doing. Second, highlight the new accreditation system. And third, to get feedback on what they'd like to see in our school system. Technically, it's 39 schools in 45 days, but that doesn't mark it as well as 40 and 40. That's been a lot of fun. We're about 10 schools in. Have a few more tomorrow. February is also Career and Technical Education Month. So I want to take the minute to thank all of our CTE, our Career Technical Education educators. They are getting kids career ready in Newport News. They lead more than 65 courses that prepare our students to earn industry certifications and marketable job skills. In 2017, you may know the Newport News students earned over 3,200 industry certifications. I want to thank our CTE department for their work about getting kids career ready. I also have an event on the horizon. We have an event, all elementary school families. And if you're not elementary school family, come anyway. You're invited to attend our family festival on Saturday, March 3rd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at our beautiful Discovery STEM Academy. So you want to see what the future of education, the future of buildings look like. Please come to STEM Academy. There'll be interactive stages for all age groups and friendly educational competitions. You'll get to see a day in the life of an elementary kid. So please come out and join us there. Transportation is provided to this event from various locations across the city. More information is on our website. So please visit our website, check with your school office for more information. Thank you again for tonight, and thank you, board, for everything you do. Those are my comments.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 6. Do we have any cards from the audience? No more cards. Okay, thank you. Item number 7, matters up by the school board. And first up, we'll have Ms. Ramirez.
Alrighty, first of all, a little update from the student perspective, what's been going on with us. This past weekend was very busy. We had three conferences, one of which was the Bloom Conference, which was focused on empowering middle school girls. So that was middle school girls across Newport News were invited to this conference, and I know personally a lot of work was put into it, and I believe it went very well. There was also the Mega Genesis Conference, which was focused on high schoolers and preparing them for their future. And then there was also a leadership conference, which was not only Newport News Public Schools, but there were members of Newport News Public Schools there. So it's been kind of a busy weekend. There are also quite a few winter sports wrapping up, so I know that a lot of our students were at state meets this past weekend or will continue to be this coming weekend. So all of our schools are hopefully doing very well in all of those. And I would like to finish off by saying, thank you very much to all of our school board members. I've only been here about 7 months now, but I can tell you that they are an amazing group of people. So thank you for all they do.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Mr. Brown.
All right. Well, I'll be brief tonight. I think I've said a lot of what I intended to say this evening. I do want to make comment that to the Peterson family, thank you for coming before us this evening, and you have my attention. I intend to complete reading these documents that you've presented to us, and I intend to take action. As well, to the young lady who came and spoke about her children and concern with the Instagram videos, you have my attention as well. I know that we as a board, we looked very hard, and I believe we agonized over this for a number of years in terms of allowing students to have cell phones, to have more wide access to their cell phones during the school day. But if the cell phones are being used for nefarious purposes and are being used to harm each other, then that is something that we have to look at revising, going back and looking at the policy that was passed last year. Because if the unintended consequences are that we've got increased children being hurt, then that's something we need to look at and seriously consider going back there. I'm very interested to hear from the student council presidents, the SEA, and other student leaders who worked very hard to get that cell phone policy passed. But very interested. So I'm very interested to hear now what their solutions are, potential solutions are to the problem, because I do see that it is a problem. These videos online are a problem for our student body, and so I do want to do something about that as well. Just looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great spring and a great year. I do appreciate all the public support, folks who have come out to hear what is going on in our capital side. And I hate to be a broken record on this, but I have been talking about this ever since I've been on the board, talking about the capital side and how important it is. It is critically important, and I'll keep saying it. I'll say it again. There's roughly 6 million square feet of real estate municipally owned. 4 million of that is controlled by the schools. So, and then out of the budget, 20% of the budget goes to the schools on the capital side for maintaining more than 2/3 of the real estate in the city. That is a formula for what we are facing tonight with Huntington. And unless we change that ratio, unless we change that percentage that we're getting, then there are more dire decisions that are to come. And so this is, I probably 4 years ago I sounded like a broken record or someone who was crying at the mountains, but it is real. It is serious. We had our study. We looked at our schools. We looked at our facilities. We have real facility challenges that we need to face, and we're going to have to get above being 20% of the capital budget when we are more than 2/3 of the real estate in the city. That's a very serious thing that we have to keep moving forward. So now that I've given all my positive and happy stuff, Mr. Chairman, back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mrs. Simon.
I had the pleasure of attending an elementary school engineering design challenge last week. It was really great to see our elementary kids doing such great work with STEM and engineering, and they were building bridges and working as a team and communicating, doing all the things that the jobs of tomorrow are going to require, so that was neat. And we also had the pleasure of being at the Newport News Science Fair, Every year, Newport News Public Schools dominates the Tidewater Science Fair, and we're looking forward to dominating that science fair again. And I just want to remind everyone that we have a new school in Newport News called Discovery STEM Academy. And it is a really beautiful building that I want everybody to see so we can talk about it and encourage growth and development in the Southeast community. I'm telling you, when you see this school, you're going to want to invest and get, a nice little house next to the school. It is so beautiful. And it will be open to the public on March 3rd from 10 to 2. We will be having a Newport News Public Schools Family Festival at Discovery STEM Academy. So if you haven't been there yet, please come out and join us, because it is something to celebrate and it gives us something to look forward to as we go to the next step with Huntington. And thank you everyone for coming out and for your public comments tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Simon. Mr. Ely.
Thank you. I just want to continue to thank our Huntington alumni for coming out, showing your support and appreciation with the board. I assure you, with the work of City Council and both school board, we're going to make the right decision to move forward to make sure there is a nice middle school in our district. I also like to thank the Peterson family for coming out. It was very, you definitely got my attention. My god brother, he's deaf and impaired, and he went to Stanton, Virginia, to school, and then went on to college. Is doing very well in Atlanta working, and he's deaf, can't hear anything. So you definitely can be successful from the deaf and hearing impaired community. So you definitely have my support here, and I'm definitely here with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ely. Mr. Stodger.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody who came forward tonight to speak on behalf of their issues and things that were close to their heart. It's an important dialogue to have. We're glad you came. But I have nothing further.
Okay. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I would like to give condolences to the families that lost their children in the terrible shooting last week in Florida. We had 4 young people that will receive a Heroism Award, which is nothing in comparison to the families losing their life. Also, ma'am, my condolences to you for your daughter, which is continuing to deal with this issue of the social media. Once it goes on the web, it is there for life. Mr. Superintendent, I think we need to look hard at the phone policy. I agree that I think maybe we should cease phone usage to send a message and to see will kids be responsible for it. Okay. Also, we cannot teach kids, or kids cannot learn unless we have a disciplined environment. And that is our responsibility to enforce those policies and procedures through recommendations from the administration. If you could have someone take a look at that baseball field, this is about the 4th, 5th time I've of hearing that. If it's our field and our responsibility, then I think we need to address it and fix it. Mr. and Mrs. Peterson, thank you for coming and voicing your concerns in this matter. I've also seen emails, Mr. Superintendent, probably going back a year and a half ago, about positions being released. The certified teachers that we had here. Do we still have those teachers on staff? Do we not have a qualified teacher to deal with those concerns? Are we authorized to have them? Okay. And the 2 young ladies, Mrs. Davis and Miss Davis and Ms. Lee, even though they're probably gone, but they did a wonderful job in getting up, speaking before a crowd, which is a tough thing to do. So they did a wonderful job. Other than that, I think that is about it. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Vice Chair, Mr. Aspey.
Good evening once again. I too want to thank Ms. Peterson and the Peterson family. Actually, I've worked with them before over in Hampton City Schools, and we received your letter, read it extensively, so I got right back to you. I do believe that we will revise, make corrections, look into, interact with you, go back and forth, because everything is about the development of all of our children, 100% of them. So we are servants to you, and we are there to, well, servants to parents, but servants to the children. There we go, I got that correct, because this is about children, and it's exactly what it is. So thank you so very much. Newport News Public Schools does great things, but growth happens in every situation. Growth is needed in every situation. So you have the commitment, I'm sure, of the school board, the superintendent, of revising and looking into that situation and making right, again, for your child and all the children in that situation and all the children of Newport News Public Schools. I definitely want to respond to the concerns in reference to bullying and cell phones. I work with high school students over the summer. Cell phones is a challenge, and I have to remind them consistently and constantly how they should be used, the purpose of them. I honestly believe when Steve Jobs created smartphones and everything, I know he never thought it would get to where it is. I just simply believe that. I just simply believe that he never got to where it is. So it is all of us, school board, teachers, parents, how do we encourage and direct our children the correct usage of cell phones? Because cell phones can have a huge benefit, but we have to just teach them about the benefits of that, the expectations that we have in a situation and settings like that. To the Huntington alumni, again, we thank you so very much. I've been able to participate in the meetings that we've had. I thank the superintendent for participating in the meetings. We do want City Council and the school board to work together. That is a goal, that is a vision. Sorry, I had to, and Mr. Brown, but we do have to state that this school system has been very proactive in reference to requesting funds. 2 words, the funds have been approved, but they haven't been appropriated. Children are our greatest asset in this city. We are investing in our greatest resource, and it's up to all of us, holistically and eclectically, to make sure that we are investing in our children. The concept is what a group, organization, what they value drives their decision-making process. I've said that over and over again, but what's valued? Okay, so we really need to think about that. Again, I applaud the vision or the temporary situation that's going to happen. I think it's going to be a win-win for our Huntington 7th and 8th grade students, because I believe that mentorship, that connectivity, me beginning to see what a high school looks like, the expectations, I think that's going to be a phenomenal situation. This past Saturday, thank the superintendent again, we got to participate in Mega Genesis. It was a huge success. A lot of our young people attended, and they got to participate in so many things that are going to help them presently and futuristically. And then 2 things finally. Ms. Simons talked about Discovery STEM Academy. Ms. Simons is correct. We have a phenomenal Discovery STEM Academy in our school system. But what I'm thinking about, or what I know, is the vision of planning a Discovery STEM Academy. 60 to 65% of the most highest paying careers are STEM related. So to have that vision, not just looking down the road, but looking down the road and around the corner for our young people, where STEM is happening, and there's project-based learning that's happening there, interpersonal learning that's happening there, career-minded situations that are happening there. All those things are happening to primary and elementary school children. So it's setting them up for success in reference to their career. And then lastly, we hear many things in reference to our school system, but I shared at the round table a very wonderful story that happened. Last week in the morning, I finished working out, and I'm coming down, and I'm proud to say that I live in the Southeast community. I'm turning on 25th Street, and when I turn on 25th Street, several times I have seen a lady who has cerebral palsy, and she's walking with a crutch, and she's taking her 4-year-old child to the bus stop to go to the Marshall Learning Center. The second time I saw it, it was raining, so I pulled around and I met her across the street at Jefferson, because the bus stop for the child is on the corner of Jefferson and 25th Street. She's walking across the street, she's trying to put her child on the bus, and she actually falls down trying to put the child on the bus. And I walked across the street, and I asked the bus driver and the bus driver assistant, is there any way that the bus could go down 25th Street and meet her at Walker Village so the child would have access to getting to the bus? The bus driver and the bus driver assistant were extremely professional, caring, and very positive, and said to me, Mr. Ashby, we love to do that. We just need to go ahead and connect with transportation. So the child went to Marshall Learning Center. I had to give something to Ms. Keller. I mentioned it to Ms. Keller. This is about probably now about 7:45 or 10 minutes to 8 in the morning. By 9:30, the school system had found a solution for that child to be picked up in that situation or setting. Remember, you can talk about all the tangible things, but the intangible things are the things that make our children successful. We are there to attempt and to try our very best to meet the needs of all of our children. What the Petersons have said this evening, the story that I just simply gave to you, the Huntington alumni coming, when you put all of that together, the worrying and checking out about what's happening on phones and bullying and all those types, we have to look at all those things, because the bottom line is this is about the success of our children. And when we all have that mindset of everyone in the community, school board, city council, our children will be successful. So I just say that and share that with you, and I thank you for the time, sir.
Thank you. Wow. What a school board meeting. There's great things happening in Newport News Public Schools. The first I'm going to say is it's been exciting to be the chair this year. I think we've had more people at these meetings than I've ever seen before. So that's always a plus. Such great things that are happening because the citizens are really coming to us with concerns. And this is what we want to hear. So those who are watching on TV, you can send your concerns on via email or come and sit and observe our school board meeting. So thank for each one of you from coming, the Petersons, Huntington, those with the baseball field, and those alike. Thank you for coming. Again, a special thanks to our school board clerk, Mrs. Hinton, who doesn't like to be recognized, but I want to recognize her again. I heard something very interesting today at another one of my board meetings that we had. It was called Arts with the Elders, and a group of Yates Elementary students, along with the Dementsville Guitar Ensemble, went down to one of our elder places. I can't think of the name of the place. Was it Peatcroft? It's down Ward. Anyway, they went there and spent almost a whole day with elders. They did drawings of the elders when they were sitting there, while the Menchfield High School Guitar Ensemble took and played music. What a way to connect young people all the way to more mature folk. Again, thank you for those two schools for going out and being participants in our city. That's good citizen part. That's our good citizen part of our schools. Again, I did want to thank again for all the elementary school teams that participated in the elementary design challenge. Again, that's always fun to see kids to come and have their minds thinking in their hands of how best to actually transport these containers onto the rail track. Again, very good. All I heard today, this evening, about these special educators that we need, that all comes back down to money. It all comes back to money. And so when we request these funds from our city council, these sort of things that they need to hear. This is what we're going to use this extra $100,000 for. We need 2 specialized teachers in hearing or in sight. But these are the funds, it all comes back to money. And where does education, where's their priority in our city? There's a new city council, the city economic development and marketing department came out with their brand new annual report. It's wonderful if you get the opportunity to see it. But it says, your city, our city, one city. And so I want to thank the city council if they are looking tonight that thank you for the joint meeting. We need more of these joint meetings. Ms. Bazemore, you've come, and I heard you say that you're like was it a ping pong ball? No. It was a tennis ball. And that was like a tennis ball, I guess. It was ping pong ball?
Ping pong.
I'm going to tell you, I heard more of that comment that we're treating our citizens like ping pong balls when I left the last school board meeting. But again, all that takes money. So I'm just going to give you a quick update on the superintendent search. The application is still open. It does close on the last day of this month, February 28th. So those are out there watching on TV or here in the room. Again, applications close on February 28th. That's all said, and I'm done. And so now we'll keep moving to item number 8. I believe we have a closed meeting.
Mr. Chairman, we do, and before I read this, I'm sure you can see this. Miss Hinton, which we love so very much, she makes the font bigger and bigger and bigger. These are 2.0. I don't even need them tonight. So I can go ahead and read it. But we know you love us, so. The school board will hold a closed meeting in accordance with the Code of Virginia, Section 2.2-311A, subsection 3, for the purpose of discussing the disposition of publicly held real property, specifically the Service Center for Operations and Transportation, the Scott Complex.
You have a second?
Second.
You heard the motion, you heard the second. Time for the question. There being none, Ms. Hinton, please call a roll.
Mr. Ashby?
4.
Mr. Brown?
4.
Mr. Ely?
4.
Mr. Harris?
4.
Mr. Hunter?
4.
Ms. Simons? 4. And Mr. Starchill?
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, we'll adjourn into our closed meeting. Yeah, I guess we have to come back in here.
She's telling you who the elders are.
I know.
Yeah.